Good morning, guys. If it's morning for you, good morning anyway, you know? So, hitting with a ball machine here, and I have a couple of rackets. I want to make a point about ball machines. I appreciate them so much more than I used to very, very recently, especially during this process of demoing so many rackets, trying to find my perfect racket. And I'm also hitting with the new Angell racket. It's the React 99, the 18 by 19. And for any of you guys that follow my content enough to know about Angell rackets, I recently had one. It was a TC97, and I ultimately gave up on it because its stock swing weight was so high, but its twist weight was also so low, which meant that it was pretty unstable on paper, but also in reality very just not stable. And I don't want to talk about the racket too much, but has kind of an elongated head shape, and that means the crosses are really short, but the mains are pretty long. Like this 97 had mains that were longer than pretty much any 100 that I compared it to. But the crosses were also way shorter, so just kind of a strange sensation when you use that racket. And with such a low twist weight and the swing weight being high already, you can't really put weight around the 3 and 9 to stabilize it without obviously increasing the swing weight also. And it was already higher than I wanted it to be, so just that racket was kind of off to a dilemma from the start. Anyway, this React, I like it way, way better. Way better. It just, I don't know, it plays more intuitively. Still has a dense string pattern. Good control, but also good spin. Good feel. You know what I mean? Like, just a solid all-around racket. And I haven't had a whole lot of time with it, obviously, but you see here I'm just doing some drop shots. Those are barely falling over the net too, so those are like really going right where I want them, most of them. Obviously, some didn't go over, some went a little far. Some of them I'm just hitting harder just to see what it does, but really like the racket. But I'll tell you this, I'm not going to switch to it because I think I've already found my racket of choice. But I still had this one in the bag, literally, and wanted to do a little review on it. I bring in a couple of Pure Aero 98s in a second here, partly just to compare with this racket so I can kind of put it in perspective, you know? This racket that I'm hitting with right now, the Angell, is strung with Cyber Flash. String probably not very many people know. I didn't even know about it, but that's what my buddy strung it up with. And it seems like a pretty agreeable string. I don't have too much to say about it because I haven't compared it in a racket that I know super well, but overall it seems fine. I could totally play with it. But you guys already know my string of choice would be Zero. And some of you probably already thought it was Zero because it kind of has that same color on camera. But it's definitely like a lighter electric blue, this Cyber Flash, as opposed to Zero. You're just hitting some driving slices, I guess a couple of drop shot forehands. Yeah, really nice. I liked it. This racket just kind of put the ball where I wanted it to go, you know? Much more control, much more stability compared to that TC97. So if anyone's looking, I would just go out on a limb here and say that this racket is quite superior to the TC97. I don't know why somebody would want a racket like the TC97 18 by 20, that's what I had, that has such a low twist weight and such a high swing weight. It'd be like using a Pro Staff Autograph that was much more floppy, and I don't really know what other benefits you would get. I guess a denser string pattern, maybe more control, right? But how do you have control when the racket is so unstable, especially around the 3 and 9 area? So it's like, I don't know. I might make a point in a later video about how some rackets I think actually are just better, and I know that better is such a subjective term, but tell me this right now in the comments, especially if you're somebody that doesn't really believe in the concept of a racket being better. Obviously some rackets are better for some people. I think we all agree on that. Some of us actually probably don't, but most of us I think do agree on that. But tell me, do you think that today's rackets are just better than wooden rackets? You can let that question sink in for a second, because I think a lot of people would say, actually, yeah, they are probably just better. And so if I can get you to agree that wooden rackets are just not as good as today's rackets, as opposed to wooden rackets are better for some people than today's rackets, then I feel like you wouldn't be too far from agreeing that some of today's rackets are better than other rackets from today, just objectively. Like, some rackets if you're looking for control, there might be one racket that just offers more control or just as much control, but also better power or better spin. It's like you get both, you know? Honestly, I've been kind of feeling that way about the Pure Aero 98 because I'm just really impressed with its ability to absolutely plow through a ball and hit with a ton of topspin, but also has enough stability to flatten things out. And I feel so connected to the racket, and the way that it plays is so intuitive to me that I feel like I get really good control with the racket, especially when it comes to like hitting drop shots, you know? I think with a certain amount of intensity, you do have to understand how to control the ball's trajectory with heavy topspin. So sometimes if you're a little bit lazy on that, the ball might fly out or something, but it's not nearly as ridiculous as a racket like the Yonex E-Zone, for example. So it gives me a lot of the power elements that I wanted from the E-Zone, but it gives me all the feel and the control that I felt like that racket really lacked. So in that sense, it's like, if you ask me, is this racket just better than the E-Zone 98? I'd honestly say yeah, because I feel like the audience or person that it would appeal to has so many of the strengths that the E-Zone has, but it also offers great control and more stability. And I just can't help but wonder, like, who wouldn't want those more often than not in the same package? So yeah, if you ask me if some rackets are just better than other rackets, I would say yes, but I do also agree that you got to find your racket. But obviously, like, if you just buy a $30 racket from Target, that's like just a bad racket, right? Who knows? Anyway, I got 0 in this Pure Aero. The last Pure Aero I was hitting with just a minute ago in the clip was strung with Wasabi Pro, and I really like both. I can't say I could pick a favorite at the moment. Those have been my go-to strings, both of them, like the Toraline Wasabi and the Restring 0. Absolutely swear by these strings. But Wasabi has another string now called Wasabi X or Wasabi Pro. I feel like they just changed the name. And that one offers a round poly in the crosses with still insane snapback. So the durability and spin is still there. So maybe I have 3 strings that I can really swear by. 2 by Toraline and Restring 0, since that's the only string they make right now, and that's what's in this racket. I just want to make the point real clear, like, this racket does so many things so well. Like, how nice is it to have a racket that has great power but also great control? There's often a really big compromise between those two characteristics. But with this one, I feel like less so. Maybe the catches that you want to be able to hit with a lot of topspin, but honestly, this racket's good at flattening out too. It's just such a versatile racket. I'm very, very impressed with it. And I'm so glad I found a racket that plays this well for me and also has all the things on paper that I want, like small grommets, parallel drilling, you know, all that crazy stuff that I care so much about. Let me make one final point. This one's important to me because I think this is lost on most of us. The value of a ball machine. So during the demo process, I've struggled sometimes going out on a hit and really understanding the difference between one racket or another. This ball machine made that so clear to me. So I've been hitting with the machine more because I don't want to waste my tennis friends' time as I'm getting to know a racket, right? Like my good hitters especially, I don't want to compromise on our tennis too much so that I can demo, essentially. But hitting with the ball machine and going back and forth, hitting the same exact ball over and over and over again, makes it so obvious what is different about the racket, guys. And I really appreciated this when I was comparing my Head Radical Pro to the Pure Aero 98, because it just made the difference on the backhand so obvious, whereas in a rally situation, it was hard to notice. So I'll talk about this more in a future video, but stay tuned, and thank you for watching. I will do a Pure Aero 98 review sometime soon. I kind of just threw in the Angell 99 React in here. This is somewhat of a video where I'm like prefacing some content to come. So I appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, I'll see you in a future video. Be sure to check out the links down below. It supports me. You can also just buy me coffee now. That way you don't have to spend like $10 or $20 on strings for me to get a commission. You can just send me a couple dollars and I'll get a couple dollars, you know, and I won't blow it on coffee. I will make coffee at home and use that money to keep making videos such as this and future videos. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the future content. I'm excited to make it. Should be some good stuff.